Mandy,
Katie.
we are here. I don't, I'm not sure I know where here is anymore, but we're here.
Hey, listen, that's fine. You're
Yeah,
doing great.
thank you. You're back home. I can see that.
I am.
Good, good, good. Well, tell us about your Christmas.
Well, is Wednesday the worst day for Christmas? Or is
It
Wednesday the
really,
worst day for Christmas?
it is, it is, it is.
I mean, I'm lucky enough that my boss lets me be real flexible with my work schedule.
It's good to be self-employed, huh?
Yeah, sometimes. Um,
I know, right? Till the
but
tax
geez,
man
Louise,
comes.
Wednesday's a horrible day for a holiday. And then
Yeah.
for New Year's, I mean, obviously, because New Year's Eve is a week after Christmas.
Yep.
You want to have that week of just sloth
Yeah.
in between, and you can't because you got to go to work
Yeah.
because it's in the middle of the week. And you
Yeah.
might have to go to work at the beginning of the week and the end of the week. And that
Yeah.
just sucks.
Yeah.
So, for all you people having to do that, I just say to you, I'm sorry, it sucks. I'm also working, if that makes you feel any better. Um,
Same.
and it's no fun. But at least I'm working in my house
Yes.
at my own pace. Um, so anyway, Christmas was good. It was,
Good.
again, being on a Wednesday, again, it was a long journey because I got up there on Friday night
Mm.
and I didn't leave until uh, Saturday morning. So I was out
Oh.
there over a week. Um, but no, it was good. Saw the fam, had some fun. But the biggest news is, I guess, the night before I left, the vet where Freddie boarded for so long before I started fostering him just happened to start a group message with me and Betsy, the head of the rescue. And she was like, I just need an update on my favorite asshole. Um,
He was kind
it,
of a low-key asshole, wasn't he?
yeah, yeah. Um, and so we were chatting about that. And then um, that was on Thursday night because she said, well, just remember tomorrow is Friday. And, Friday is F it up Friday for Freddie.
Yep.
Um, and I said, well, he's going to be in the car the whole time. So hopefully he will be contained. And Betsy was like, wait a minute. Are you going to Nashville? I'm like, well, duh. Yeah, of course I am.
Yeah.
And so turns out a guy that had been a previous adopter whose wine died a little over a year ago had just contacted them that day and said he was ready to go back in. And Freddie was his first choice, but he did not want to go to Florida. He did not want to have to go to Florida. So he had just decided to get a different dog and just go to Birmingham because the guy lives in Nashville. And Betsy was like, oh, wait, just a minute.
Hold on.
So
Yeah.
um, he called me as I was actually pulling into Nashville and we chatted. He also works from home. He's also single, um, only dog. So it was sort of like just perfect.
Yeah.
Slide right in. So he came and met Freddie on Friday and took him home. So Freddie's adopted.
That's amazing. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Um, that's always the goal. So that's good. But then, it is always a little sad too, because
Yeah.
you are invested and it's different. Adopters have different levels of communication. Like
Right.
Ronnie's mom, I finally asked her for an update like 2 days after she had left with her.
Yeah.
She sent me one picture and I've never heard anything else from her.
Okay.
Some my Dash and Sky who are in New Orleans, like I hear from them all the time.
Yeah.
Um, Emily, who's in Brunswick, her mom sends me a Christmas picture of her every year, and like that's it.
Yeah.
Jenny got adopted by a boomer, and he's hysterical. I swear he must have a flip phone. Bless his heart,
Does he mail you pictures?
he tries to take videos of her, and so I always get these like random this Verizon user has
Oh,
sent
yeah, yeah.
like some sort of encrypted something. Sometimes I can open them, sometimes I can't, and they're always out of focus.
I
But
love it.
he tries. So, you just have different levels of communication. So Betsy said, will you tell him that at least for a couple of weeks he's going to have to keep us updated because Freddie's kind of a big deal.
He is a big deal.
Oh, and then it ends up the last dog he had adopted from the rescue had been fostered by a friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad." It's funny. His given name is Sam or Sammy, but he goes by Kenny. So his email is Sammy, and so some people call him Sammy, and some people call him Kenny. And then at
Okay.
one point, when I was texting Betsy about him, I called him Randy. So listen, Ricky Bobby, I don't know.
Ricky.
Um, Super nice guy. Kenny
Yeah,
is his name. And so he has sent me a couple of updates, and he's
good.
still. And I told him, but Lauren had said the girl who had fostered his last dog, she's like, he's good to update if you ask for updates, but
Yeah,
you do
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of have to ask for them.
He's a
So
boy. Yeah.
yeah. But he said that Freddie had found the neighbor's cats
Oh, good.
on their second walk. At least
Oh,
they had one walk. And then he said that his neighbors had a bird feeder and that Freddie had spent most of the day just staring out the window at the squirrels under the bird feeder. I was like,
look,
great.
he's a guard dog. I
Listen.
appreciate that about Freddie.
Oh Lord. He doesn't know what a doorbell is, but that's all right.
That's all
Um,
right.
and he was doing really well with Lucy, my sister's dog. So that was
Good.
good. That had been a much easier transition. So yeah, so it was a good trip to Nashville, and I got back yesterday. What's today? No, I got back Saturday afternoon. Left a little early to dodge the storms,
Yes.
and then indeed got a tornado warning at 3:30
Yep.
Sunday morning. Spent some time in the stairwell. Was not alone this time. There was a nice couple from Wisconsin, John and Maureen, who I got to meet at 3:30 in the morning.
Who probably were like, what the heck?
Well, they had actually been here last year when we actually had the
Oh,
tornado
okay.
touchdown. They weren't staying here; they were staying at
Yeah.
a house not far away. And so they're like, "Yeah, we leave the snow to come down here for tornadoes." I was like,
Tornadic
"Welcome,
activity.
welcome." Um, but yeah, so I'm back. You maybe can tell from my voice that my illness that will not go away has reared its ugly head again. So I've just been sort of laying low and cleaning up and de-Christmasing, working on de-dogging, because I am going to take a little bit before I get another foster.
Yeah.
So yeah, just doing all those fun things that you like to do when you are looking at the new year.
Yes.
Um, Nothing really going on baseball wise. Really, sort of the only thing that's happened since we last talked. The Braves will not be getting a Vandy boy. Um,
So there are none. Is that what I'm
they have
hearing?
one in the minor, like their
Okay.
draft pick, their number one draft pick. I think their number one draft pick this year. Was a kid named Carter Holton, who's from Savannah.
Okay.
But he's in the minor league. So yeah, no. Walker Bueller signed with the Red Sox. And that was really because we could use some pitching.
Hmm.
But we did not get Walker. So, and I don't, they still, Braves still haven't made any big moves. Kind of like we talked about, they don't really have to. I do expect they will eventually make a trade for some pitching,
Yeah.
um, and maybe an outfielder. But hadn't happened yet. So we'll
Yeah.
see. And sort of all the really big name pitchers are off the board at this point because Corbin Burns signed with the Diamondbacks. So we'll see. The Dodgers are going to be, they're a wagon. Even though they let Walker go, they'll have Shohei pitching again next year.
Hmm.
And they've already
And
signed Blake Snell. So they're gonna, and then they just also this week they also re-signed Teoscar Hernandez.
mm,
So they're gonna be a wagon, no doubt
yeah.
about it.
Did I
Um,
see that Shohei's gonna be a dad? Was that fake news or real?
Shohei's gonna be a dad.
That's so precious. Good for
Yeah,
them. It's gonna be
yeah.
the most athletic baby I think we've met in a while. Until
So
Simone Biles has her first.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
great.
yeah.
Good for them.
But
Because
what
his
about
wife is
you?
a basketball player, right?
I don't know.
I think she's an athlete, I believe. I believe.
Anyway, so for all allowed, tell us what's been going on with you, Katie.
Well, as of today,
Dun, dun, dun,
I
dun.
hit send on the email and my almost book worth of writing and paperwork has been sent to the South Georgia Conference to become a provisional elder in the United Methodist Church.
That's all the language makes me laugh.
Yes. I
The
mean, my eyes
provisional
are
elder. Does
twitching. If you could
that
see, if
mean a
you back in.
preacher?
Yeah. Well, yes. Yes. So my
Okay.
eyes are twitching. I'm exhausted, but I'm relieved. And
Yeah.
it's just a great feeling to be done with that. I go get asked a bunch of questions about it in February, so that's my next worrisome thing
So
looming.
basically, you have turned in your thesis
Yep.
and you will go defend your
Yep.
thesis in February.
Yep.
Okay. That's
Yep.
exciting. Way to go. That's a
Yep.
big deal. Big
Yeah.
deal.
It really is. And I'm very excited about it. I'm glad to be done with it. So now I can concentrate on
Moving.
packing. And moving sucks. Let me just tell you, I packed 20 boxes of books and I was walking around the house the other day and I found some more books and I
Oh
was like,
no. The worst.
I,
It's the worst. It is.
I
It's the
love
worst.
them, but this is
Goodbye, book.
after a purge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad I have movers that are going to move the heavy boxes that all the books are in. But I have about 16 boxes that say Jesus books on it. So there we go.
There you have it.
But yeah, so I'm in the process. The movers don't come for another week or so because of the holiday and it's going to take 2 days. So I've got some time. I'm really glad to have that paperwork done. So now I can really concentrate on this for the next couple days before I go down and start moving, being back and forth between Vienna and here to get moved fully down. So I'm real excited, but there's
Good.
still so much to do.
When's your first Sunday down there?
Next Sunday, this coming Sunday, the
Woohoo.
5th of January. So it's really fitting, I think, that the first Sunday is the Sunday we celebrate Epiphany with the wise men and their journey and my journey and this whole church's journey. So it's going to be good. I'm excited about it.
Good. That's awesome.
Yep. Um, as I have been, packing and writing, I've had a lot of football on the background,
Yeah.
and it's been a wild into the season. There have been multiple games that have gone into multiple overtimes. So, like one day we thought with five overtimes, that was
Crazy.
that tied the record. That was going to be the big thing that five overtimes. The next day said, "Hold my beer," because the next day we had a six overtime game between Toledo and somebody, and Toledo lost. And or maybe anyway, that game, the losing coach just walked off the field, didn't shake hands with the other coach. I mean, it was just, I mean, come
That's
on.
just sorry.
Yep, it is. So it's been kind of a wild end of the season. The bad referees have reared their ugly little heads as well. I mean, some really bad calls.
Yeah,
I
I'll have to
don't,
say the Indy Tech game.
ugh.
My tech girls were at the game and they were none too pleased. And I will say that the expert who was commentating was agreeing with most of them.
Yes. Yes. And I did too. There was one, so I had some friends at the game until the lightning started and they left. But
Yeah.
um I so what I was told by the people that were there was one call that everybody got real pissed about. Like at one point I really thought the Georgia Tech coach was going to have a stroke. He was
Yeah,
screaming so loudly and you could see the veins in his neck bulging. Like I thought he's going to die right here on the sidelines. But apparently there was a face mask call that they called, but nobody in the stadium thought should have been a face mask. apparently the replay in the stadium didn't show the same angle that we got to see on TV. So
And
they
can we
didn't
talk about how
realize that it really was a face mask.
they weren't showing any replays on that broadcast either?
Mm-mm. No. So it was just and it's Birmingham and that stadium is for the UAB stadium. So it's not, it's like a high school stadium basically. It's beautiful, it's newer, it's nice. It's not a bad stadium. It's just not equipped like a regular college stadium would be to show all those replays.
I feel like Vanderbilt probably felt right at home
Yeah,
in the current state
with the
of the
current state. Yeah.
Vanderbilt Stadium. But yeah, they ran out of food,
Yeah. Yep.
and it was real
Yep.
congested getting
Yes.
around. There were
Yes.
not good reviews from Birmingham.
No, it was not at all. In fact, they said that you parked and got on a shuttle, and then the shuttle dropped you off like blocks away from the stadium. And it's like, well, I could have just walked. I
Wow.
mean, you didn't
Right,
take me
right.
anywhere. And the concourses were real crowded. There wasn't enough room for people, really.
Yeah,
Um, but they did say that their favorite thing, their children said, their teenage children said that the best part about the whole game was constantly getting to boo the refs.
yeah, yeah.
So there we go.
There you go.
I do think that the playoff system needs a little tweaking. Obviously, they picked the most deserving teams instead of the best teams because some of these little teams that they had picked got blown out pretty
Yeah,
badly. But what I did love and what I do love and what I hope they'll continue is that first round game that is a home game in a college stadium at a college campus. I think that was pretty special for those
yeah,
teams, and I think that was good. So it's not a total loss, but I mean there's some things that need to change.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah. Well, Mandy, tell us about your food.
I went with, I don't think I've shared this before. I started to share a Caro Chambers soup I made, but listen, we really need to, she's gonna like get us for stalking soon if
Well,
we keep talking about
hey,
her.
look, uh,
Um,
yeah,
but this is a similar one.
okay,
It's called Roberto. I don't know why. I found it. I follow Helen Rosner, who is a food writer for the New Yorker now.
uh-huh,
I've followed her for years. And she just sort of made this soup up. It's sausage, it's kale, it's tomatoes. It's just a delicious winter soup. I think it has beans. Yeah, it has beans in it. Um, and I don't know why it's like she just randomly called it Roberto, and then she shared it online, and then it became this like internet sensation, Roberto the soup. So I've actually linked to an article about it,
yeah,
so that you could just sort of read about it. But it's just sort of a good, hearty
that looks
Italian
delicious.
sausage, kale, bean
That
soup.
looks absolutely delicious. Like
And
something I will
apparently
make once I
the
move.
weather is looking like it's going to be some real soup season
Yeah.
next week. So just an easy soup for y'all to whip up. The Caro Chambers one, should you be interested, um, was ground chicken, um, a carrot, one potato, just one potato,
Just one.
um, can of tomatoes, a cup of farro and a cup of lentils
Oh,
with kale, and it was also delicious.
love
So,
it.
should
Love
you
it.
be interested in that? Well, jaunt, that was fun too, but I went with Roberto.
I like Roberto, whoever he is.
Right, good
That
old
looks
Roberto.
absolutely delicious and super easy.
Yeah, yeah. Get you some good sourdough bread.
Yes.
Pile up and watch the snow next week.
I'm here for all the things.
You won't be getting any snow anymore in South Georgia.
No. I'll be getting gnats.
You are below the gnat line.
I am.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
They're good things though.
They're really good things. I'm excited.
All right, Katie, will talk to us about your favorites.
So, I read and am reading because, these days with all this I got going on, it takes me about a month and a half, 2 months to read a book.
Hey, wait a minute. Back up a minute. Speaking of reading, you didn't tell us about your Christmas.
Well, that's going to be in my favorites because it
Okay.
was my favorite Christmas. No shade to my family, but it was probably my favorite Christmas I've had in a long time.
There you go. Uh,
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I did take this book with me on my little Christmas vacation. It was not a Christmas vacation that was worthy of Clark W. Griswold, but on my Christmas vacation, I took a book. And I've never read Claire Lombardo before, but the most fun we ever had. It is a delightful book. It's about a family that has four sisters and the wild and crazy dysfunction that follows. It is really beautifully written, heartwarming stories, great characters. My friend that recommended it said it was her favorite book she read in 2024. I'm not sure I'd go quite that far, but it is definitely in my top list. So add that one to your list. I liked it very much, or I'm
okay.
liking it very much.
Well, I just have to throw out one more time since we're talking about most favorite books of 2024.
Yes.
Somebody on, I think it was on Threads, maybe Blue Sky, I can't remember, but was like, just because I'm a hater, what was your least favorite book of 2024? I was like, The Women.
The women.
Birch like just happened to see it. And she screenshot it. She's like, I see you, Mandy
Oh,
Caldwell. And our friend Allison, who's the one that's like catching up on
yeah,
all the
yeah,
podcasts,
yeah,
so she'll be listening to this in like
yeah.
April.
Yep.
Uh, Allison was like, you might have mentioned it once or twice on the podcast that you hate it. I hate that book. So
It's
anyway,
just, I mean, nobody's ever really dead.
I don't understand, and I just the amount that I hate it really makes me wonder how can all these people love it so much?
That's what I was about to. I've been on book talk. I haven't been sleeping a lot. There's a lot in my brain that I can't shut off. And so I've been on the clock app too much. I get it. I know I have a problem, but my brain won't shut off. Um, and they've Book Talk is doing all their top lists, and every daggone one of them, when they say women at the top of their list, I move on
I
because I'm like, we
mean,
don't think the same.
right, right.
I love Kristen Hanna,
Yeah, I've liked everything else I've ever read by her.
and if she had just stayed in country, the story had just stayed in country in Vietnam,
Yeah,
I think I would have been fine with that book. It would have been a good book.
yeah, yeah.
But once everybody started showing up from the dead, I was like, what is this?
And the the main character just kept making bad choice after bad
Oh,
choice after bad choice. I read a couple of books like that this year that I'm just like, listen, I can't take it anymore.
I just can't.
It's like a
Oh,
friend that you just have to like break up with because they will not quit talking about the stupid boy.
right?
Anyway, sorry. Okay, well,
Oh,
good. So the
no,
most
I
fun
agree.
we ever had.
Yes, the most fun we ever had by Claire Lombardo. Recommend. Definitely read it. As I mentioned, and I had mentioned before, I think for a couple weeks, I am probably never going to be able to go on vacation at Christmas ever again.
Yeah,
So
congrats.
I chose this year to go to the mountains. And I went back to my favorite spot because they had such great rates over the holidays called High Hampton. It's in Cashers. It's actually been bought since I started going there. It's been bought by the people that do Reynolds Plantation at Oconee.
Okay,
So this group, I think they're out of Birmingham or Nashville one, has these two properties. And when I tell you that I was treated like a princess,
good.
I mean, I know it's their job.
Who cares?
It doesn't matter. If it
No.
was cold, they came and got me in a golf cart to drive me up the hill for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It didn't matter. Um, they had the first night I was there, I had reservations every night for dinner. And the first night I said, look, I'm real easy. Just sit me at the bar. I don't care. There was nobody there. I mean, I basically had the run of the place.
That's so funny.
And so there were a few families there, but not many. And so they set me up at the bar. They found my favorite seat and they put me there. They had it ready for me the rest of the week. They're like, we're so excited you're back. We got your place set for you. We're ready. The food and beverage director, the bartenders, the waiters, everybody would come up and chat. I did play the game. Usually I don't tell people what I do for a living, but I did want to play the game of guess what Katie does for a living. And I got some interesting guesses. I got sales, which I thought was kind of right? Like I'm selling Jesus-ish, right? And
Sort of.
I got interior designer.
What were
I
you
guess
wearing?
because I
You
was
should
so
wear that outfit.
fashionable.
You should wear that outfit every time.
I know. And then I got professor.
Yeah, that's, I might prefer professor as what you're doing as
Yes.
opposed to sales
Yes,
as
I
what you're
agree.
doing. I would rather you
Yep.
teach us about
Yep.
Jesus than sell us
Yeah,
Jesus.
I agree. So, but they were real sweet. And then when I told them what I did, they all just got this look on their face, and it was worth it. It was worth it. It was priceless. And then word started getting around what I did for a living, and they're like, "You're a preacher?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." It was
Watch me
great.
drink.
I know, right?
Watch me
With my
drink.
old fashioned.
Then watch me nay nay.
Oh, but it was the food was just, oh, it was delicious. And the service was great. And, they kept up with where I was in my book. They were like, how's the book? How far have you gotten? Anyway, so it was just so nice and it was quiet. Um, I will say some very sweet friends of mine sent me a bottle of champagne to the room
That is very
for
nice.
my Christmas present. It was very nice. And so I just sipped on that all one day. Probably wasn't the best of ideas, but like, look, it was the whole day
And it's champagne, you
in a
have to drink
champagne.
it
You
or
have
it's
to,
gonna go
or
flat.
the bubbles go away.
Yeah.
So I invented what I like to call the champagne walkabout.
As
So
you
I got
should.
myself a glass of champagne and I went walking around the property and had a very lovely stroll.
Listen, you were exercising.
It was. And everybody that saw me, there were a few guests there, and everybody was like, "You've got the right idea." I was like, "Right?"
Mhm. I
So
did.
I think from now on, we should institute champagne walkabouts.
Hmm. Also known as a roadie.
There we go. Yes, a roadie. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was just so nice. It was lovely. I know they gave all the guests this, and I know look, I know I've been in retail over Christmas. I know what they're doing. They're trying to get rid of their inventory so I don't have to pay taxes on it. But they gave us hats. So I got my High
Good,
Hampton hat. I got two of them
good.
actually, and a pack of playing cards. And anyway, it was great. It was really nice. So, I'm going to encourage everyone to vacation when you need it, no matter when that is, no matter what you're supposed to do or what you think you should do. If you need a vacation or this is your last opportunity to do so, go do it. Seize the
Listen,
day.
I will tell you that it was a unified uh, thought at about 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve, maybe a little earlier, amongst my St. Simon's text thread of we should really just take a trip next year.
Yeah.
This
It
is some bullshit.
It was the best thing I've ever done for myself, really. And my family was very supportive of it. They understood. My brother even said he was jealous. And I was like, you could
Hmm.
be here too.
Yeah.
We could do this every year if you really wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanksgiving or Christmas, it doesn't matter. We could do this. And I've done both at High Hampton now, and I recommend it so much. It's a beautiful property, but just being somewhere where you don't have to do anything. Somebody said, well, you could have gone to my cabin. I said, but then I would have had to cook and clean,
Right.
which would have been free, but I would have had to cook and clean. I
Yeah.
didn't want to do any of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just cannot recommend it enough. It was the best gift I've ever given myself.
Well, good. I'm so glad.
Yeah. And so that kind of moves into where I am now, which my other favorite thing these days is people that are very supportive. I did turn in that big thesis-esque paper today, and I had readers that read it for me and helped me edit it and think about, specifically what the committee was looking for and see it through different lenses. And I've had people just check in with me and say, "Hey, are you okay?" And I've had people, send me fireworks and you finished a section and all this. It's just so nice. I'm normally, and Mandy, I know you're the same way. We're people that care for everybody else and don't normally care for ourselves. And right now, I've had to say to a lot of people, like, I have to, this is not an option. I have to do this.
Right.
And they have been so kind for the most part, have been so kind about supporting me instead of the other way around. Now, do I feel guilty about it? Of course I do. I feel so
And
bad.
yeah. Do you feel weird receiving the
Yes,
celebrations? Yes, of
it's
course.
awful. But it's also heartwarming and wonderful, and I've needed it. I've just had to let go of a lot of that these past few weeks because nobody can do this work but me.
Yep.
I'm the one that has to write this. And while people do read it for me and help me with it, it's ultimately my name that goes next to it. And so
Yep.
I've had to put a lot of things aside, a lot of things I wanted to do that I couldn't do because this is my career and my calling, and it's more important than anything else I'm going to do. So, having that supportive group of people, including you, Mandy, has been just exceptional. And it's been hard to receive at times, but I'm working on it.
Good.
It's a
Good.
process.
Good. Good.
Um, so the other two things that I have are just things that I've watched or pseudo watched. I've done a lot of pseudo watching. Like it's on. There was one thing that is not on my list, but it was Paris Has Fallen. If you've watched any of the other Fallen movies, this is Paris Has Fallen, but it was a series. And it had a lot of subtitles, so I really don't know what happened in most of that show, but I know they saved the day.
I saw somebody describe it. They were talking about Virgin River, and
Yes.
they're like, it's sort of like a crock pot show. Like
Yes.
you just put it
Yep.
on, and then you don't have to worry about it. It's just bubbling in the background, and you
Yes.
go do other things, and you can get
Yes.
into it when you want to, but
That's
and you
ex
can keep up. At the end of the day, you know what's going to happen.
Yep, that's exactly what that is. So, um, these three things that I watched, I kind of watched at night once that my brain was just done. And so these shows I know are really good because I actually watched them. But I did have a lot of crockpot shows while I was doing all this. Um, on Paramount, I'm a huge Yellowstone fan. Um, what's his face that writes them? God, my brain.
Taylor
Taylor
Sheridan.
Sheridan, thank you. Taylor Sheridan has a huge family of shows. And my two favorite right now are Lioness, which has Zoe Saldana and Nicole Kidman in it, is about do you know what a lioness is? It
A
was in
female
Afghanistan,
lion.
a female, well, it's a female soldier who in ingrained themselves with the women of like the Middle East because men can't get information out of the women because they're not allowed to talk to them over there. So these lionesses were the kind of go-between female soldiers. So now that all those wars are over, technically, there's this group of lionesses that go and do secret missions all over the world. So that's what that show's about. It's very, very good. And then my other favorite is Landman, Billy Bob Thornton, and John Hamm, and Demi Moore, and Ali Lauder. I mean, it is so good.
It's funny. I remember I follow several like television critics, and they were all like, "Oh God, this show is so horrible." But every
Oh,
real person I have talked
it
to
is so
really likes it, and they're like, "Billy Bob Thornton."
good. He's great.
Yeah.
He is way too skinny in real life, and he's got a really bad haircut in this thing, but it's so good. It is
Listen,
so
Billy
good.
Bob Thornton. Billy Bob's got a Billy Bob.
He's Billy Bobbing all over the place in
He's
this
got a
thing.
Ricky Bobby.
Absolutely, but it's really good. I like it very much. And the other thing that I watched that I really like, because I went the opposite of Christmas this year, and I did spy thriller, blood and guts kind of stuff. Um, is Eddie Redmayne in The Jackal, and he is like a former soldier who's an assassin. but the Jackal, I mean, he disguises himself really well. That's the premise of the whole thing. It's loosely based on, I think, a show from a long time ago, but Eddie Redmayne is great. I think he's precious. And so, of course, my doorbell's ringing.
Oh,
But I love Eddie Redmayne.
well, good.
And so, it was very good. So
Awesome.
let me pause just a second if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
The joys of living next to a chop shop are that they ask you every once in a while if they can use your driveway to back up and deliver cars.
There you go.
Yay, that won't be happening much longer. So anyway, the Jackal, those shows are the ones that have stood out over these last couple weeks that I've actually watched that I enjoyed.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yep. So there we go.
Bra la la.
Tra la la. What do you have coming up this week, Mandy?
Um, well, I'm actually headed to Noonan at the end of the week. Listen, we are launching 2025. It's going to be the year of the 50th birthday celebrations.
Oh, oh,
And
that's
we are,
your year, your class.
yep.
Okay, all
Got
right.
I guess I didn't have a lot of friends that were born in the fall, because I hadn't had any yet, but we are kicking it off
Most of us are
Friday.
summer birthdays, so my year it'll be a big summer bash.
Mhm. Friday, I'm headed to Noonan for my friend James's 50th birthday. That's
Oh,
Kelly's husband, and she
okay.
has hired I can't remember. It's like Hibachi Steve or
Ooh,
something. Um,
okay.
but yeah, it's a big hibachi uh, party for James's 50th. So
Okay.
I'll be going to Noonan for that. So that'll be fun. But that's really sort of just cooking, get ready to cook my black eyed peas and my greens and my pork chop and ready for some good luck.
Yes. So I'm gonna have you eat double for me
Okay.
because I'm packing everything in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you can probably go get something somewhere.
I could, yeah. I probably won't, but I could.
Okay. And just have it delivered,
Because I'm
maybe.
gonna be in transit.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna, yes. So,
Hi,
yay.
anyway.
Um, so I'm gonna be packing. That's what I'm gonna be doing, and then I'm gonna be back and forth a little bit until the movers come. So that's my
So
week.
you're preaching on Sunday, but you
Uh-huh.
don't officially move until next week.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Just because it's gonna take 2 days, and with the holiday, and the movers were giving their people a little time off. So I'll just stay at the cottage, and it's not that far down to Vienna, so I'll go back and forth.
Okay. All right.
So there's that, and then I think we would be remiss if we did not mention the death of our, I don't know what number he was, President Jimmy Carter,
39.
39th President Jimmy Carter. I'm actually not going to be far from Plains. I've reached out to the girl. There's a new, I think we mentioned it, there's a new female pastor, the first female pastor at his home church down there in Plains. So I'm hoping that, not just because she's his female pastor, but just because she's a female pastor in South Georgia, that we can maybe start a group of the few of us that are down there. So um, I look forward to being in that world and getting to know. And I never did hear him preach or teach Sunday school, um, but I'm looking forward to being down there and spending a little time in Plains as well.
Absolutely.
But he said a lot of profound things, and I'm very proud that he spoke up for women in ministry and women in general, and our friends in the gay community, and did work for human and civil rights and for the environment. And once again, I think not to plug, but to say that this would be a great time to get that book that our friend Jim and his writing partner, the good eye doctor in St. Simon's, wrote about Jimmy and fishing on the Bitter Southerner. It is packed in a box, so I couldn't tell you the name of it right now if I tried.
Rivers and Dreams.
There we go, Rivers and Dreams. It is what all the men in my family are getting for their late Christmas gift. Um, And, we just honor him and pray for his family, even though they knew it was coming. He has been very sick for a very long time. Um,
Actually, I actually talked to Dr. Hicks today.
oh, you did?
I did. And that's, he said it's been a long time coming. I said, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's never easy to
Never.
lose a friend. So,
Never, never. So we pray for all of his family and friends. And I hope that, as it does with a lot of, important people and celebrities, I hope this gives us a chance to revisit some of the most powerful things that he did in his presidency and after, and be inspired by him all over
yeah, I
again.
think the biggest lesson from him is how you can still go do amazing things even when
Hmm.
life throws you a curveball.
Yeah.
I read a really good biography of him last year. It's called The Outlier, by Kai Bird, Kai Bird.
Okay.
Um, and it really is, it's fascinating. I think we always had almost a caricature of him,
Yeah.
just being a nice and sort of a pushover. And it's really interesting because we were too young. I mean, you were baby. He's the first
Yeah.
president I remember.
Reagan
Um,
is the first president I remember. He's the first president I was alive for.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I remember moving to Missouri, and we had moved. We were living in Missouri when uh, President Carter lost re-election, and I just remember how sad my parents were,
Yeah.
and they were sort of the only people around that were sad. But
Right.
it was we were too young to really know the intricacies
Yeah.
of what he did as president. We know a lot about what he did afterwards, but it was really fascinating to sort of um, get some intel into all that and
Mhm.
really understand that no, actually, he was not a pushover.
No.
And because of that is one of the main reasons why he wasn't reelected.
Yeah.
So uh, anyway, good book. Jim's book's great too. I've read the first chapter, and it's great. It's really fun. So
Good.
recommend both of those.
When I get it out of a box, when I'm down in Vienna, I plan on starting it. I think there's some good sermon quotes in there too, so I'm looking forward to all of that. But um, I don't think so. Rosalind was memorialized at Candler. I don't. I have a feeling this will
No, it's
need
gonna
to
be
be at the
a state
national.
funeral,
Yeah.
on January 9th.
Okay. I had not. Look, I've been in a bubble. I had a feeling that they already had it planned though, but it was very sweet to have everybody on campus, but I had a feeling this would be up at the National Cathedral, so as it should be.
Yeah.
But he was very intricate. Our um, civil rights little department and section of Candler is the Carter Center. So he was a professor at Candler for a while as well. So he's kind of sprinkled throughout my life these days. So I appreciate him very much. And I put a quote on my Instagram that, shockingly, not as many of my male counterparts in the ministry have commented or liked or whatever, but whatever. He said, the truth is that male religious leaders have had and still have an option to interpret holy teachings either to exalt or subjugate women. They have, for their own selfish ends, overwhelmingly chosen the latter. And that is changing. I see a lot in my colleagues that do not do that, especially this younger set. But for him at his age and at his time to call male religious leaders out like that was pretty gutsy. So I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Eat your peas.
Bye, y'all.